I'd like to call this meeting of the Richland County Boards of Supervisors to order on Tuesday, May 19th at 6 p.m. in the Richland County Boardroom. Clerk, would you conduct the roll?
Harrow.
Here.
Miller. Here. Schoonover.
Here.
Kramer. Here. McKee.
Here.
Engel.
Here.
Meyer.
Here.
Welty. Here. Thompson. Here. Nolan.
Here.
Perry.
Here.
Collins Johnsrud. Here. Turk.
Here.
Waldsmith Tagley Pietra. Here. Frank.
Here.
Severson.
Present.
Williamson.
Here.
Cooey.
Here.
McGuire.
Here.
Have a quorum, sir.
Would you please join me in standing for the Pledge of Allegiance? Supervisor Turk, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Will you please remain standing? We got the invocation here from Pastor Michelle Elfers, St. John's Lutheran.
Hi, I'm Pastor Michelle. Let us pray. Good and gracious God, we gather before you tonight to look out for the least of the people in this town, to look out for our neighbors, to look out for one another, to do the business and maintain the ongoing business of this community. I just ask that we each realize the blessings we have in this place, the strengths each and the gifts each bring to this table, and for the strengths that the community has. Help us to listen to one another and help us to listen to you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Be seated. Clerk Hagee, would there a verification of open meeting law?
It has been properly noticed, sir.
Wonderful. Then I would entertain from the board a motion to approve our 23-point agenda. Motion by Supervisor McKee, seconded by Supervisor Turk. Any discussion on our agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 6 is approved minutes from April 21st, April 28th, May 4th, May 5th of 2026. Entertain a motion to approve those. Motion by Supervisor Schoonover, seconded by Supervisor Welty. Any additions or corrections to those minutes? Supervisor Carroll? Okay. Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Bringing us down to agenda item number 7 is public comment. Richland County does offer public comment, and we do have a 3-minute time frame that we allow the speakers to speak within that 3 minutes, and will be timed. I did receive 4 of people interested in to speak. I took them as they come in here. I got one is a Deborah Frazier from County Highway 00. Deborah, want to talk about your easement?
Yes, I had questions. We've never been notified or anything about the land, that they're trying to redo, but, I don't know what the plans are. We haven't been, discussed any other proposals. And I'd like to know what the status is for the road. For example, there's had any vehicles accidents whatsoever. And they want to remove my trees, over 100 years old trees that's there. I've lived there over 50 years and I've never had any problems whatsoever other than the snow plows making a big mess, you know, when they go by and stuff. But there's land on the other side, which nobody lives on that side. And I mean, there's plenty of roadway that without taking all my trees out, they got probably over 20 trees that they're trying to take away. And they was planted long before I was there. They're probably over 100 years old, some of the trees. And we'd like to know if there's any plans on joining the Wisconsin rustic road program. I didn't know if there's anything like that going on with on County Truck 00 where I live. But I guess that's it.
Thank you for your comments. We're not able to comment back on this, but what I'm gonna do is refer your comments here to still Chair, Mr. Coif to Public Works and our Highway Commissioner Josh Elder and Administrator Clements for follow-up with you. And then you are more welcome to come to one of those Public Works meetings and talk it over with that committee.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. The next on the list is Aubrey Wiedenfeld, representing Richland County EMS.
Number 14 on the agenda. Hello, my name is Aubrey Mayfeld. I am born and raised here in Richland County. I work as a paid-on-call EMT for the Richland County Ambulance Service, as well as a jailer dispatcher here for the Sheriff's Department. Keeping ambulance services public means keeping care rooted in the community. We know our neighbors, we understand the unique needs of our area, and we serve with a deeper level of compassion and accountability because this is our home too. Keeping ambulance services public instead of privatized is about more than budgets and contracts. It's about protecting the heart of community healthcare and emergency response. Public EMS services are built around the people. EMS personnel serving the community are not strangers passing through. We are your neighbors, friends, and family members. We understand the roads, the people, and the challenges of our area. When emergencies happen, community trust matters. Public EMS providers are invested in building relationships, supporting local events, educating the public, and being present during both emergencies and everyday life. We care on a deeper level because this community is personal to us. We recognize familiar faces, we understand local concerns, and we take pride in serving the people who support us. That connection creates a level of compassion, dedication, and accountability that cannot be replicated or replaced. Going private affects everybody, including other emergency services, other EMS, police, Sheriff's Department, firefighters, and dispatchers. Some of our small services rely on us to get them equipment. What happens to them when we are gone? What's going to happen on the dispatch side? Are we still going to dispatch for the private service? Are we going to have to tell our callers that an ambulance is on the way, but it's going to be 45 minutes out? Put yourself in our shoes. Imagine sitting on the phone with someone having a medical emergency or calling for a medical emergency and having to tell them that the ambulance is coming, but it's going to be 45 minutes. Imagine sitting there listening to someone begging for their or someone else's life, and you don't have hope that someone's coming fast, efficiently, and effectively. Thank you.
Thank you, Aubrey, for your comments. Next on the list is going to be for Sadie Wallace.
Board members. My name is Sadie Wallace, and I have dedicated 20 years of my life to EMS. For the past 9 months, I have proudly served with Richland County EMS. I am here today to urge you to vote to keep the vital EMS service that Richland community relies on and cherishes public. Healing is not always purely clinical. Much of it goes beyond medicine. I strongly believe the patients we serve experience better outcomes because they know us and they trust us. This trust and established relationship often allows us to help a patient manage their medical emergency, sometimes preventing an unnecessary trip to the hospital. I have worked in the private sector, and I can tell you that connection is simply not the same. In private care, I have witnessed a blatant lack of connection and empathy. To us at Richland County EMS, the people we serve are not just our patients. They are our neighbors, our friends, our teachers, and our family members, and you, the board members. I urge you one last time, safeguard the health of our community by keeping this service public. A public EMS service puts people over profit. Thank you.
Thank you, Sadie. Next on our agenda is Sharon Smits from the City of Richland Center.
Thank you. I have much to say, but can't possibly talk that fast to meet the time restraints. So I'll try to highlight and give the board something more to consider. In the very beginning of our ambulance situation, our county administrator stated that the county was not obligated to provide an ambulance service and was not interested in keeping our local county service or to consider a countywide tax levy that would be fair and equitable to the entire county. If the issue had not been discussed and debated, I do not believe the levy resolution would be before you tonight. The countywide levy is necessary. However, please keep in mind that the approval of the tax levy would be paid by our area taxpayers, with many strongly supporting our local ambulance service. I personally have no issue with an increase in my taxes for our local EMS, but find it difficult to accept the idea that the taxes could be spent on a third-party service who is not from our area, know our residents, and our local service who does. If you recall, one of the early meetings, Gunderson was invited to make a presentation. However, our local service was not given that opportunity. Also, a study was approved, and I do not believe that our local EMS staff and director were even approached. I ask why on both of those questions. A local presentation and input to the study would have been valuable. Most recently, I wonder and ask if the RFP from our local service was given its proper due. In fairness, I hope in the future the board would hear presentation from our local service. Instead of the county possibly contracting with a third party for a low bid of $212,000, is it possible that the $212,000 be paid to our local service with the $212 and a possible approval of the tax levy, along with actual ambulance income? Would we not have enough funds to keep the service local with possible extra funds applied to capital improvement for a new ambulance? Your next step is a decision on who and how Richland County will be best served fairly, equitably, and morally. Compare the RFPs with a checklist. You need to be positive you are comparing apples to apples. For example, with the low bid for 1 year, is it really attainable, or will in mid-year have a review increase the cost? Or what if the third party chooses not to renew? Non-renewal by a third provider, on a lighter, what if the third party chooses not to renew? Renewable by a third party would be disastrous. On a lighter note, the low bid also states that we will provide 1.5 ambulances. Really? Is a half a rig a two-wheel motorbike with saddlebags? In my opinion, we need 2 in-house ambulances. Our local service volunteers at events, and they still have an ambulance available for calls. Will a third party cover community events? As county board representing your constituents, I thank you, and I ask you, please continue to do your homework as time is running out. Again, I want to remind you of the $200,000 donated by Bob Simpson and the help of REC and others who made the new station possible. Thank you, and praying for your support.
Thank you, Sharon. I'm going to open the floor up for anybody else who's got a quick comment.
Mr. Chair,
I have an online comment.
All right, I heard Floyd Bartow's voice, so I'm going to go with Chairman Floyd Bartow from Town of Buena Vista.
thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, County Board Chair and County Board of Supervisors. Thank you for allowing me to speak. My name is Floyd Bartow, and I want to remind you all the objection letter from the Town of Buena Vista is a part of the meeting packet. Please be sure to review the concerns Buena Vista officials have laid out in that letter. As the elected chair for the Town of Buena Vista, my job is representing the residents within. My mindset when making decisions, especially monetary decisions for the town, is based on the effect of the township as a whole, not individuals, portions, or sections. At no point is a deciding factor for myself ever lean on the basis of my affordability and mine only. Let's face it, reality is just because I can afford something doesn't mean everyone can. Unfortunately, this seems to be the opposite at the county level. The tunnel vision with creating a countywide EMS system seems to be solely based on one provider, a section of the county, and not the county as a whole. Turn the table for a second. Ask yourselves, if Buena Vista, Richwood, Bloom, or any other municipality, or a few of them as a group, were unable to retain their services provided by other providers due to budget shortfalls, would this body entertain a countywide EMS system to rectify their dilemma? My guess is no. With that being said, I respectfully object to the proposed countywide tax increase intended to fund a unified EMS system when the primary justification appears to be the lack of affordability faced by municipalities served by a single EMS provider, despite emergency medical services already being adequately and responsibly provided in portions of the county by fiscally sound entities. Just to clarify, the town of Buena Vista is not objecting the continuance of Richland EMS, rather the countywide tax that would place an unnecessary burden on residents who are already receiving reliable EMS coverage from organizations that have demonstrated sound fiscal stewardship and operational stability, and these residents should not serve as a bailout option. I urge the county board to reject or reconsider the countywide proposal until a more targeted and fiscally responsible solution is explored that would allow all municipalities and EMS providers a seat at the discussion table. Thank you.
Floyd. There was another person that was online.
Yep.
Go ahead and state your name.
Rachel Ward.
All right, Rachel, you can go ahead for 3 minutes.
My name is Rachel Ward. I'm an advanced emergency medical technician for Richland County Ambulance. I would be there in person tonight if I were not on duty, so I am speaking virtually from a few blocks down the street at the station. I wanted to speak to you today on behalf of those who could not attend today's meeting, some of our county's most vulnerable and voiceless people. I'm speaking about the sick and elderly residents on Medicaid and Medicare living on limited incomes and relying on food pantries, the residents who don't have the privilege of owning a car, those living beneath the poverty line, those who are struggling to meet their own basic needs, let alone be able to attend a county board meeting. Tonight's decision affects every person in this room, every person in this county, and every person who lives in a service area bordering ours. But I doubt the people I'm the most worried about have any representation in this room, which is why I felt compelled to speak. When you call 911 in Richland County right now, there is an ambulance staffed and ready to respond. That ambulance isn't coming from Viroqua. That ambulance isn't going to get pulled to staff a nearby station. That ambulance isn't getting sent out of county on an interfacility transfer. That ambulance stands ready 24/7 to serve the people of Richland County. One of the vendors who submitted an RFP has already demonstrated they don't have the ability to meet the demands of a 911 system in the areas they already serve. We've heard about the Sparta letter, the hour-long wait times for an ambulance in La Crosse, and the strain this puts on the surrounding services who are staffed by dedicated volunteers who leave their jobs and their dinner tables to respond. Our neighboring services don't have the ability to cover what a third-party vendor can't. They're already doing the impossible with limited staff and resources, keeping their services running, responding to all the calls they can. Richland County is their mutual aid. We are who responds when they cannot. Very rarely does this happen the other way around. And if any of these third-party vendors put mutual aid as a viable option for 911 coverage in Richland County, let me be the one to tell you how unviable that option actually is. What you currently have is a station staffed by people who grew up on these roads, people who volunteer at these surrounding services, people who oftentimes discover their patient is actually a friend, a neighbor, or family member, people who live in and spend money in this county, not someone from La Crosse, not someone from Sparta, not an EMT who's so burned out from doing interfacility transfers all night long that they're beginning to see things that aren't there. I've listened to these meetings and I've walked out feeling frustrated each time. What's best for Richland County isn't the lowest possible bidder for their ambulance service. I would actually call that downright shameful. Going with a third-party ambulance vendor because it's more affordable while simultaneously hemorrhaging money into other county departments they aren't statutorily required to maintain makes no sense. Make it make sense. How much further ahead would Richland County EMS be if all of the time and money spent on getting rid of them was putting towards building them up? I ask you this. Which one of you is comfortable waiting an hour for an ambulance? I hope the answer to that is none, because my stroke patients can't wait that long. My cardiac patients can't wait that long. My trauma patients can't wait that long. My patients are your constituents, the taxpayers. I urge you to think about them, what they want, and what's best for them while you cast your vote tonight. They filled this room in support of us, and it spoke volumes to me. It should to you too. Thank you.
Thank you, Rachel, for your comments. I'm gonna open up one last time for any public comment within the room or online. All right, so we're gonna move on to agenda item number 8. County Clerk, Board appointment of elected position pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 17.21. So the last executive and finance meeting, which was the 12th, somewhere in there, the 12th, we did receive applications from 5 candidates. They were Kayla Williams, Jessica Morris, Jeffrey Harrison, Brianne Dre, and Jane Knudsen. All 5 candidates were interviewed, asked questions. And the Executive and Finance Committee did debate and talk about that, and they did come out of that committee with having two recommendations for county board. Both recommendations were Jeffrey Harrison and Jane Knudsen, and I both see Jeffrey and Jane here tonight. So I will have Jeffrey stand up and introduce himself if he wants to talk.
Hello, everybody. I am Jeff Harrison, as he said before. I applied for this job because I've done this job before. I've been a clerk both with the city and I was the deputy clerk here. In the interim, I went and I was the deputy director of finance for the city of La Crosse. And I've currently been at the Elections Commission for 8 years now. So I'm extremely familiar with this role and I'll keep it short and sweet. I'm looking forward to working with you.
Ms. Knudsen?
Hi, I'm Jane Knudsen. I have more of an accounting background. I have some legislative background. I've worked in the polls for the last 2 to 3 years. Looking forward to a new chapter and learning something new. So hopefully, that's it. Thank you.
So before you tonight, I did do reference checks on the references that they had listed, and I did give you copies of what they said, so you need a couple minutes to go over those references. And then I would open the floor for you to ask questions of those candidates, since it is a county board decision. If any further or not, otherwise the floor is yours to move forward. The candidate. What is the board's pleasure? Selecting a candidate, Mr. Perry?
I move that we approve Jeffrey Harrison for the position.
So you have a motion for Jeffrey Harrison for position of county clerk. Is there a second? Seconded by Supervisor Frank. Is there any discussion on Mr. Harrison's? Okay.
Would like to say that I think we have two very qualified candidates.
Understood. Is there any other discussion? Do we make ballots up too? I guess I want to, for that, how do we do procedurally? So I did have ballots made up. Would you guys prefer to do ballots? Okay, so are you comfortable with that, Mr. Perry, rescinding your motion?
Yes, that's fine.
Good.
I,
Mr. Frank?
Sure.
Okay. I forgot about it, that I had that drafted up today, to ballots. That was on my fault.
No, you have to put your name on it so we can report it. These are not anonymous ballots.
Your names must be on.
Names must be on.
Thank you.
I have another slide for over here. Upload this. That's all. Good. All right.
Mr. Chair,
Go ahead.
there were 13 votes for Mr. Harrison and 6 for Ms. Knutson.
Understood. And everybody filled out their name?
Correct, yes.
So Mr. Harrison, you are appointed county clerk,
Thank you.
county board. Thank you, Ms. Knudsen, for applying. We have 20 days to fill this position from here on out, and then, so whatever you have to do to make your employment, I guess. And start date, you can communicate that with me and also the administrator. And then you're gonna have to be sworn in by Judge McDougal,
Okay. Excellent.
take an oath of office.
Yep, I should be able to start in early June, but I'll give you the exact date.
Understood. Anybody have any questions? Comments?
I know we voted, but do we need to take official action to make the appointment, or is the vote sufficient? The vote is sufficient. Thank you.
All right, we're gonna move on to agenda item number 9, which is approve an amendment to the minutes of the December 10th, 2024 meeting.
The treasurer was reviewing past minutes and it was noted that her name is spelled incorrectly. I have highlighted there. I just would like your permission to correct the spelling of Ms. Mott's name.
Well, how was it spelled before?
It is highlighted in yellow. It is spelled Ashely. It should be Ashley.
Supervisor Cooey?
I'll make the motion.
Supervisor Cooey moves to change the minutes of that meeting, seconded by Supervisor Carroll. Further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. We'll say nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 10 is a resolution amending the provider contract for 2026 for the Health and Human Services Department. Resolution number,
That would be resolution number 26-18. Do you wish me to read them as we have in the past, sir?
yes.
Okay. Now therefore it be resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted to amend the mentioned contract for 2026. Be it further resolved that the Director of the Health and Human Services Department, Ms. Stephanie Ronfalt, is hereby authorized to sign the above contracts on behalf of Richland County in accordance with this resolution, and be it further resolved that this resolution shall be effective immediately upon its passage and publication. This was offered by the county board members of the Community and Health Services Standing Committee on 7 May of 2026.
You heard the resolution. What is your pleasure? Supervisor Perry? Moves for approval, seconded by Supervisor Kramer. Do we have a background here?
Stephanie is not able to be here. She is in Wyoming for her daughter's graduation. So this is a adult family home that serves a individual with some mental health concerns. And so we had to initiate the contract within our procurement policy so that we could hold the spot. And now we need to increase the amount so that it is able to cover her stay the rest of
Supervisor Kramer, you got anything to add?
And the other thing too, Tricia, you can correct me if I'm wrong, this placement will also allow this patient to have more freedom, I want to say, and activity than where she is currently.
Any questions, concerns? These contracts do come through on a regular basis. As the needs arise, they are increased. And these are services that we are provided, that we must provide. We don't have any way of getting out of that, so. Hearing no other comments, I'm gonna call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to agenda item number 11 is a resolution recognizing the retirement of an employee of Health and Human Services Department.
Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that the county board hereby expresses its sincere appreciation to Ms. Barb Otteson for 18 years of dedicated service to Richland County, and be it further resolved that the county board wishes Ms. Barb Otteson a long and happy retirement, and be it further resolved that the county clerk shall send a copy of this resolution to Ms. Otteson at her residence. This resolution is offered by the county board members of the Community and Health Services Standing Committee on 7 May of 2026.
You've heard the resolution. What is your pleasure? Supervisor Kramer moves to, and seconded by Supervisor Welty. Any discussion? Ms. Otteson is not here tonight. Any comments? Thank Ms. Otteson for her 18 years of service to Richland County. It's greatly appreciated. Call for a vote if I don't hear anything. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Moving on to agenda item number 12 is a resolution approving a new roof for Pine Valley Community Village.
This would be resolution number 26-20. Now therefore be it resolved that the Richland County Board hereby approves the acceptance of the bid submitted by Heiser Exteriors in the amount of $382,000 for the roofing project. Be it further resolved that the Pine Valley Administrator is authorized to execute all contracts and necessary documents related to this project on behalf of the organization. Be it further resolved that the project will commence as soon as approval is obtained and is expected to be completed within a week's time contingent upon contract terms and conditions. This resolution is offered by the county board members of the Community and Health Services Standing Committee on 7 May of 2026.
For the resolution, what is your pleasure? Motion by Supervisor Williamson, seconded by Supervisor Myers. Any discussion? Supervisor McKee?
I have a question. On the Board of Trustees, we created a capital covers this things. Now where this money is coming from?
We can give a background here to have Brittany go up here and talk.
So obviously you guys received, for those of you that don't know me, I'm the administrator over at Pine Valley. We received several bids for the roof. We have decided to go, our goal is to go with Heiser proposal because they're gonna come out for annual inspections every spring. They're gonna do future roof max, which is kind of like a spray of rejuvenation to our thing at cost, so for materials. No upfront cost, and we make monthly no interest payments for 2 years. So it drops it down to a very small payment each month, versus payment in a lump sum.
So it's not gonna come out of the capital improvement, what happened?
Out of our budget. We still have it, so we're required to keep a certain amount in there, for the state and federal requirements on our end. That money stays in there for emergency purposes. Our structures we're struggling with our structure. We are having leaks, significant leaks in multiple areas. The structure in the top, it gets very hot and they're about 165 degrees.
195.
195, I was close. So it gets really hot in there and that's where all of our heating, what are they called again? Heat pumps, that's what those are called. So those are up in the roof and we have about 277. So as they get heated up over the summer, and during the heat spike, they're affecting them. So we have several of them that some of their motors are going, there's some issues with them. So it's preventative for.
So is it the whole roof? Yes.
It would be the whole roof because in sections of each roof, there's leaks.
There's not adequate venting that we have now.
Want to stand up and pull up?
There's not adequate venting in the roof that we have now, and as we put this new roof on, we're adding roof vents and a better venting system. 10 years.
I think it should have lasted longer than.
You would think, but I think it's just kind of how, the roof was put on, and obviously the consequences to it, you know, we're just seeing them now, and it's much sooner than we want to, and I'd rather take care of it if we don't have issues.
Thank you.
Any other questions? When did we change all the county roofs over after we had that hail damage? Did every county building, do you remember? 2018, was that roof replaced in 2018? The one building that wasn't?
2016.
And that facility was built in 2015? 2016.
Finished, yes.
Any other questions? You guys just explored doing, you take pictures of the roof to show where the shingles are. I was reading your document.
We have not taken pictures, no. We can, but we ended up having to put them up off the ground and do a patch job. So they're back up on the roof, they're just patchy.
I'm picking on shingles every week out in the yard.
Roof lasts a little longer.
Is the
Maybe-
degradation of that roof mostly caused from the updates?
Not adequate venting, yes, and, from what I was told, it was put on late fall, early winter, and they were shoveling snow and then putting shingles on.
So there will be a vent system there.
Yeah. it's
They're gonna install it for free for us, they're just gonna come in.
Any other questions? So we got a motion by Supervisor Williamson to approve replacing the roof and going with Heiser Exteriors. That was seconded by, who seconded that?
Meyer?
Yeah, Supervisor Meyer. No other questions? All those in favor? Mr. Carroll?
I don't worry.
10 year, if I'm not mistaken, with a 10-year on it.
10 years.
10 year.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. On to resolution, or agenda item 13, a resolution approving staff reorganization for Simons.
This would be resolution number 26-21. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval to create 3 new job descriptions: Director of Development, Director of Operations, and Member Services Manager. Be it further resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that this will be effective the first day of the next full pay period. This resolution is offered by the Executive and Finance Standing Committee on 12 May of 2026.
For the resolution, was your pleasure? Be appropriate to put on the floor. Motion by Supervisor Williamson, motion by Supervisor Cooey, seconded by Supervisor Williamson. We have a background? Mike?
Yeah, so we started this process about 1.5 years ago, looking at our staffing. Obviously, with Simons, we've been asked to be more self-sufficient, or looking at more independent financial opportunities that are out there. So this is one way that we looked at doing this, in coming up with a director of development position, which would be replacing the current director position, and that would be more pursuing some of those outside partnerships, outside dollars through grants, that type of thing, to lessen our request on the taxpayer. The assistant director would then become the director of operations, so they would be taking over more of the operational oversight of the building and the on-site facility. And then the new position would be a actually part-time position, would be the member services manager, and that's one of our current front desk or front reception positions that would be responsible for more member retention, membership, recruitment. So it's trying to get more communication with our existing members to continue that line of revenues. So, This has been, we've used this with Trish, actually, we've been, started last year on it. We kind of went on a hold because we wanted to go through the Simons study and see where that kind of came out with. And then we took it to the Simons board who referred it on to the administrators and finance.
So we heard Mr. Hardy on the floor up for questions. Mr. McKee?
Does the city have any say in this? Aren't they part owner of the sign?
So the city has 3 representatives that are on the Simons board, so they are aware of it. They did vote on it as well in that board. It has been discussed some with the city administrator, so they do know what's going on and everything. It does not negatively impact the budget. It doesn't add anything to the budget for staffing. In fact, hopefully, it should positively impact the budget with us bringing and pursuing more of the grant dollars and the outside partnerships.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr.
If I could also add, this was budgeted into the 2026 budget, so we talked about this. If you go back to the original budget packet, you'll see that these were positions that we had looked at adding. Like Mike said, though, we put it on hold until we knew what the study was going to come back as. So the city did approve through the Simons board the budget that was presented and that we are coming.
You do see the current organizational chart that is on the top of the screen here, and you have the proposed 2026 proposed one at the bottom. It's studied by Executive and Finance, Vice Chair Engel.
This is an excellent proposal. It places Simons on the same level as UW Foundation and the Hospital Foundation. So it's an excellent choice. Nice work, Mike.
Thank you.
Any more comments, questions, or concerns? Hearing none, so we got a motion on the floor to approve the reorganization chart for 2026 for Simons Recreation. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 14, resolution to create a countywide emergency response medical system and to levy outside of the levy limits for the provision of those services.
This would be. Sorry, this would be resolution 26-22. Now therefore be resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that a county-wide emergency response system be created. Be it further resolved that starting in 2027, the county shall levy outside the limit to fund a county-wide emergency medical system. And be it further resolved that the administrator is directed to create a fair and equitable distribution of the funds. And be it further resolved that this is effective upon passage and publication. This resolution is offered by the Executive and Finance Standing Committee on 12 May of 2026.
You've heard the resolution. What is your pleasure? Motion by Supervisor Welty, seconded by Supervisor Frank. So this resolution here does not mean that we are going with a specific third party. It does not mean that Richland County is going to provide EMS service. It simply means that we are looking at going outside of our regular levy limit to fund for EMS services. And one of those potentials could be for funding with our local municipalities who are already contributing to funding EMS in other areas such as Lone Rock, Muscadet, those outside areas. I guess I'm going to pick on Orion Township because Supervisor Cooey's here right now. But the way I am interpreting this is that, let's say if Orion Township was to contribute $30,000 to Muscadet EMS, then I believe that the county then would imply this tax, give Orion Township that $30,000 to pay for Muscadet EMS. And in turn, they would be able to keep that $30,000 and distribute it however they feel that they want to do that. But then that extra money that they fund for Richland County EMS would go to, I shouldn't say Richland County EMS, that other party that is served by a portion that Richland County EMS serves now would have to go towards that service. Is that the way I understood that?
Yes.
Okay.
So this does not keep a local.
It depends. We haven't chosen a model yet to provide for EMS service. What this is saying is that we recognize that there's funding opportunities available and to go exceed the levy limit. And so one of those models could be going to a third party and then they get that money in the tax levy. Or it could mean that we, as a Richland County unit, still provide EMS coverage to our portion that we're already covering right now. And allowing the existing outliers like Viola, Kickapoo EMS, Cazenovia, Hillsborough, Blue River, Muscadet, that's it, right? Cazenovia, to all stay functioning as an independent organization. They just would be supplemented a little bit by this countywide tax levy. Supervisor Frank?
Thank you. So at this point, with this resolution, we don't have a dollar figure. We don't know what that dollar figure is yet, but we need this to get that started to find out what that's going to be and where, because at this point, we don't know what the tax impact is exactly. But I guess I want people to know that'll be the next step. We need to do this to move and come up with something.
Just by approving this now does not mean that we're going to go with this resolution. This is just giving us the authority to look at it and find a model that would work for distribution to be fair and equitable. Supervisor Perry?
I recall from the executive and finance meeting that several times we used the phrase based on equalized valuation. That's not in the resolution.
Take an amendment.
So I'll move we amend the resolution to say based on equalized valuation.
And would you say distributed in a fair and equitable?
That's already in there.
It's already in there?
It's already in there. Otherwise I would.
Good.
I would
So
that.
it would be at the last further resolve that you would have that the administrator is directed to look at equalized value to exceed the levy limits to provide a tax for EMS services countywide through equalized value property and create a fair and equitable distribution of the funds. Is that correct?
That's exactly right.
Okay.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second by Supervisor McKee. Is there any further discussion on the amendment? We're talking on just the amendment only, not the actual resolution. None. Clerk Heggie, have you got that?
I honestly, sir, do not. You had you said the last be it further resolved or the second to last?
Be the second to last.
Okay, that the administrator is directed to look at equalized value, and then you lost me after that, sir. I can't write.
Directed to explore exceeding tax levy limits outside or for countywide EMS system off of the equalized value property to create a fair and equitable distribution of the funds. Supervisor Williams.
Paragraph above that is talking about levy outside the limit already.
Okay, good.
So you make, one of those two would be a good spot, in my opinion, to put the comment.
Understood. Supervisor Frank?
I guess I'd like to clarify that a little bit. There's a lot of wording, I think it was repetitive in that.
I agree.
In my opinion, and if Supervisor Perry would agree to this, the second to last, further to be it further resolved that the administrator is directed to create a fair and equitable distribution of funds based on equalized property value. That's all we need.
Acceptable to me.
So that procedurally you move to amend the motion.
Yes, I will make, yes, procedurally wise, then I would move to amend the motion to make that change.
Move to amend the amendment. So Supervisor Frank moves to amend the amendment, seconded by Supervisor Williams. Any discussion on amending the amended motion? None. Supervisor Williamson?
No, just make sure she's good.
I will just read it again if you would like.
I have, be it further resolved, the administrator is directed to create a fair and equitable distribution of the funds based on equalized property value. Is that correct, sir?
That is correct.
Thank you.
I like the wording of that. All those in favor, since we have a motion to amend the amendment on the floor. Any other comment? I'm going to call for a vote on the amended amendment. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. So now we're back to the amended amendment. We're talking on that, not the resolution. Is there any other questions on the amendment? So the current amendment is the administrator is directed to create a fair and equitable distribution of funds based on equalized property value. The way I understood it. Any further discussion? Supervisor McGuire.
If you're trying to create, as it's worded here, a countywide emergency response medical system, what system are you operating off of now?
So right now, each service takes care of themselves and the towns contribute to the funding of that service. What this would do would be almost as a way to kind of consolidate all the funding into one place, the county, and then we would distribute those funds to the services that are currently in the county. So it's kind of confusing when they talk about countywide, you think one service is going to run the whole county. We have no intentions of having one service run the whole county. What we're looking into is, should we be levying outside of the levy limit to fund emergency services across the county? Because some municipalities are saying we can't afford emergency services. We can't continue to meet the needs of the community. We need the county to step in and take it over so that it can be funded.
Are other medical systems being included in the conversation of this creation of this here medical system?
The other ambulance services, they have not yet. We have not started having discussions because we need to know what the board's willing to do.
Is there a plan to do that?
Yes.
Motion.
The plan would be to really start meeting with the towns next. So that would be our next step, is we would meet with the towns, the city, and the villages to talk about how do we get this fair and equitable distribution.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And I think that there's 14 counties right now that are looking to have this tax. There's 14 counties that are doing exactly what we're talking about now, or actually have implemented that. So that's increased in the last 5 to 8 years. There always was like maybe 3 or 4 that did it, and now we're up to 14. So there's a trend that's happening here statewide. Not saying that this is right, not saying that it's wrong. It's just, this is happening in the state of Wisconsin at this point. So we're talking about the amendment. We haven't voted on the amendment yet. You all good with this amendment? You need me to read it again? Okay. So all those in favor of the amendment by Mr. Perry signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. So now we have the resolution that's before the body here. The second to last further resolve that saying is directed, the administrator is directed to create a fair and equitable distribution of funds based on equalized property value to be effective upon the passage of this publication. Any further questions? Resolution as stated. Mr. Engel?
Yeah, this, we batted this around for like a half hour, craft language. And I think even, it's never easy to raise taxes, but in this particular case, to stand with the municipalities and villages and townships and providing this service, positions the county is walking along with our neighbors and our friends and our constituents. We had a variety of meetings leading up to this. And I think 60% of those who were involved in those public discussions And this was a consensus item that came out of that group.
Any further discussion? All those in favor signify of this resolution, signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay.
Nay.
Got one nay.
Who was that, sir?
Supervisor Kramer.
Kramer.
Hereby declare that the resolution is passed. Moving on to agenda item number 15, resolution cameras on highway department vehicles.
This would be resolution 26-23. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that approval is hereby granted to Highway Commissioner Josh Elder to engage with a vendor to install external cameras on the plow trucks, semi, and administrative vehicles. Be it further resolved, this is approved upon passage and publication. This resolution is offered by the Executive and Finance Standing Committee on 12 May of 2026.
For the resolution, pleasure. Supervisor Williamson, seconded by Supervisor Cooey. Have approval of cameras in highway department vehicles. Is there a background, Mr. Elder?
Yeah, so over the years, we've identified the need to have cameras in the vehicles to watch outside the vehicles. We're not really caring, like watching what the driver's doing as he's driving down the road. We want to see what's going on around the vehicle and how he's operating that vehicle. The reason for doing this, because without it, it kind of presents a lot of liability onto the county, and things we've seen in the past, it could prevent us from taking some of that liability on. At the executive finance meeting, it was discussed putting on all the county highway vehicles. I would ask that, you know, we have to look at it from what we can physically afford before we proceed forward with that. We have received word that the Samsar was willing to work with the highway department and give us the cameras for the remainder of this year for free, which is good news. But we also, I would highly recommend and ask that we look at presenting a policy in place as we look at proceeding forward with the future, so everybody knows what the cameras mean in the vehicles and we have a chance to educate all the county employees beforehand, because it's gonna feel like that it's violating their rights, and I think it needs to be properly clarified of what those cameras mean and being as though it's accountable. So before we initiate and just going ahead and installing all the cameras and running with it, I'm asking that maybe we get a policy in place first as department heads. We have a chance to educate the employees and give us something to back to, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Supervisor Frank?
Who's gonna manage the open records requests on those?
Well, that would be determined through the policy, but I imagine the county administrator would most likely.
That could be a big task, people requesting information and data.
Policy should be discussed though in Public Works Committee.
Yeah.
And the creation of that, and how that would all get dealt with.
Okay,
before it goes
thank you.
on. It's another, Mr. Cooley, you're getting a lot of work to do now.
I was looking for.
Supervisor Walsmith, take a Petrie?
I have another concern that I just want to be brought up in Public Works, because I'm not on that committee, is that, how is the information gathered from the cameras going to be used, distributed, and ultimately discarded if it's not needed after it happens? Those are the, you know, when we discuss policy and procedure and how data is used, if it needs to be defined specifically that it's for liability purposes. And then if that's not needed, we need to have a disposal, because otherwise we're just gathering all this data and it can be a point of vulnerability.
So all the
for workers
information
in
is
the county.
gathered and held cloud-based. It's not localized here on the county servers. After a period of time, unless you're specifically looking for a piece of information, that information will be wiped out and erased. So we look at clips of footages as they're requested, and then we get that information back. We actually have to request that piece of information. It's not all stored on the county servers.
Well, because I would not like to see that we contribute to the whole data center AI just because we're trying to, I mean, the intent is good. We're trying to keep ourselves safe and have our money accountable and good in case we need it for insurance reasons. But my suggestion would be that would be taken up and we start looking at our footprint as a county is concerned. We're contributing to
larger picture out in the world. So, anyway.
I know that we do have a policy maybe that we could work off of, and that's the sheriff's department. I know that they have videos in their cameras, and also body cameras, and that is stored for, I think, 90 days, something, 180 days, something like that.
And reasonable, and reasonable privacy as a worker is that, working under a camera I've done it. I've done it 24/7, and it does inherently change how you feel about even your workplace, knowing you're working under a camera. So just, you need to keep that in mind too.
Administrator Clemens?
So when we brought this, it started with Public Works. Public Works said, please take to executive because we really want to consider doing this across all county vehicles. Executive felt it was important to get going right away onto the highway department vehicles, but that was the original hope, is let's get a plan together. Let's look at how it's going to be used, how we're going to share that data. And the individuals that I've talked with who have used this have really said it has benefited the employees. When there's been an accident or something, they could show what the employee did. So that was our original hope, was to not rush this through, but really look at putting this into the 2027 budget. So we had a policy and procedure in place, and we could really roll it out with department heads and have a policy.
Mr. Chair.
Supervisor McKee?
I look at this, I guess, differently than most people. Sure, it's gonna protect the county. But in some cases, it could protect the employee.
Supervisor Thompson?
I already showed that I voted for this, but just this morning, I was behind the county truck coming into town, and there was a school bus that stopped to pick up a kid, and the county truck went around the school bus. And my thought right there was, had they had cameras when this is called in, there's no denying it. So I thought that was a good push for it, the cameras to be put in.
Supervisor Turk?
This is not an unusual thing. Actually, at our Public Works meeting, we talked about that. Was it all our surrounding counties already have these?
Correct.
Any further comments? The resolution before us is that have cameras on all highway department vehicles. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 16, a resolution approving cash routing policy for Richland County.
This would be resolution 26-24. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors approves the cash routing policy presented before them, and be it further resolved, this resolution should be effective immediately upon passage and publication. This resolution is offered by the Executive and Finance Standing Committee on 12 May of 2026.
Have the resolution. What is your pleasure? Motion by Supervisor Cooey, seconded by Supervisor Meyer. We have a background.
This is a policy that one of the departments had been asked by their state contacts to create for the county so that we have consistent cash rounding guidance. This does not apply to tax payments because those are not able to be rounded, but we are looking to have this policy approved so that we are consistent across the board. There is a posting that we will put up in all departments also so that everyone is aware of what the rounding policy is, and this is only for cash payments.
Any discussion? Supervisor Frank?
I don't see the policy. What is the policy for rounding? I didn't see it in the packet. I see the resolution, but I don't actually. No, that's okay. I just didn't know what it said. Can you just review what it does? Round up, round down, what does it do?
I believe it rounds down. It rounds down so that the taxpayer doesn't have to pay anything extra. Just pulling it up.
Amount shall be rounded up nearest 5 cents. Okay, it's just pretty much what we could do. Perfect. All right, thank you.
Sorry about that.
Any questions, concerns? We have a motion and a second for our cash rounding policy for Richland County. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. We have a resolution to rescind resolution number 25-84.
This would be resolution number 26-25. Now therefore be it resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that resolution number 25-84 be rescinded. Be it further resolved that it is passed. Resolved, this is effective upon passage and publication. This resolution is offered by the Executive and Finance Standing Committee on 12 May of 2026.
For the resolution, what's your pleasure? Motion by Supervisor Kramer, seconded by Supervisor Perry. This resolution is to rescind 2584, and this was in the event that the county administrator was either incapacitated or was gone from duty, hospitalized, anything that designated the county clerk at that time was Clerk Kalish, him to be the assistant administrator or backup administrator, I should say. Assistant backup administrator to be able to handle some functions in the administrator's absence if it was deemed medical or health-wise, I guess, or vacation. And she wasn't able to act. We did have some emergency stuff come up and signatures needed to be made. So since Clerk Kalish is not here, we have to rescind this resolution, and then Executive Finance is going to be talking at their next meeting about who that backup replacement is going to be. In the interim, I told the administrator that it will be okay if something does happen and we still are able to contract and able to get an administrator there if we need to. Any questions? All right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Resolution number 18 is a resolution. Go ahead.
Item 18.
Yeah,
sir.
sorry. Item 18. Sorry.
Do you wish me to read the top part as well, sir?
If you could read it.
Okay. This would be resolution 26-26. This resolution recognizing emergency medical services EMS week, May 17 to 23, 2026, and commending the dedication and service of emergency medical responders and EMS professionals serving Richland County and Wisconsin communities. Now therefore be resolved by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that the week of May 17 through 23, 2026 is hereby recognized as Emergency Medical Services EMS Week in Richland County. And be it further resolved that the Richland County Board of Supervisors extends its sincere appreciation and respect to the EMRs, EMTs, AEMTs, paramedics, dispatchers, educators, volunteers, and all EMS personnel and partners who support emergency medical response, and commends them for their courage, professionalism, and steadfast commitment to the people of Richland County and Wisconsin. And be it finally resolved that the Richland County Clerk is hereby directed to cause this resolution to be placed on file and to provide copies as requested to appropriate county departments and EMS partners.
So you've heard this resolution. I sponsored this resolution, brought it to the floor here, so that's why there's no sponsorship. You guys have a preview of doing that also. So is there a motion on the floor motion by Supervisor Myers, seconded by Supervisor Welty? Yes, I want to take this time right now to acknowledge any EMS provider that serves Richland County and dispatcher that's in this room, if they want to stand and be recognized, even if you are a former emergency medical provider also. Okay. Is there any discussion on this resolution? Now I'm going to call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Agenda item number 19.
This is an ordinance relating to the cost of the care of veterans raised in Richland County. Sir, I presume you do not want me to read the entire resolution, or ordinance, I'm sorry. But the gist of it being, now therefore be it ordained by the Richland County Board of Supervisors that the county board shall calculate the annual cost for the care of veterans and their widows' graves situated in Richland County where suitable care is not otherwise provided as follows. There is in the ordinance there a calculation of how that will be calculated. And then be it further ordained that this resolution shall be, this resolution should be effective immediately upon passage and publication. This ordinance is offered by the Executive Finance Standing Committee on 12 May of 2026.
For the the ordinance, motion by Supervisor Kramer, seconded by Supervisor Welty. Background? Supervisor Kramer, I guess I'm gonna rely on you here.
The background is for those veterans that are buried in the cemeteries within our county that do not have perpetual care. And it's usually for those veterans from World War I back. And if you buy a cemetery plot these days, they add in the cost of perpetual care for your plot. So what the county has done according to statute is they have a formula and they take the cost of the care of that particular grave and turn it into the county clerk's office, and the county issues that cemetery association a check.
Any questions, concerns, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Ordinance carries. Passed. Agenda item number 20 is our report from our administrator.
I did have a report added to the packet this afternoon. I do apologize for the delay in getting it in there. A couple of highlights. The campus reconfiguration committee did receive 3 different requests for interest. So the committee did give me authority to continue to have discussions with those parties. That does not mean that any plan has been decided, but to engage in some discussions and see what we can work out. There will be a rummage sale at the campus on June 6th if anybody is interested, and the campus redevelopment grant has been finalized and we are able to start making some claims on expenses we've already incurred.
Comments, questions for our administrator? Moving on to agenda item number 21, any correspondence?
2 items, sir, in the packet, letters from citizens.
Got a letter from Floyd Bartow Jr. He already spoke tonight, but he is the town of Buena Vista chairperson, talking about a countywide EMS. And then we also have a resident of Buena Vista, Barbara Boyce. She's a former county supervisor. She also wrote us a letter concerning with Richland County of our countywide EMS system. I haven't got anything else for our correspondence. That brings us down to agenda item number 22, future agenda items.
Can we review ambulance? Or whatever.
So have them go to executive and finance to review, and then
We'll come through there.
Yep.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Just want to make sure we review. So we understand where we're at here. We definitely need to understand that.
Just a question on Supervisor Perry's, agenda item on the timing of the meeting with the city. Is everybody any movement on that?
Well, they're meeting on the first Tuesday. And we're meeting on the 3rd, so I think we'll be all right. Except for committee meetings, and how you filter that out, I don't.
Just check it.
I mean, they have committees, we have committees.
Any future agenda items? You can always reach out to me. Any place on the agenda, I'm open for that. It's within reason. Agenda item number 22 is adjournment. Supervisor Thompson, Supervisor McKee, second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Thank you all for coming tonight. I really appreciate the engagement that we had.